Good afternoon, Coach Washington. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good afternoon, George.
Yes, I'm just curious on the defensive front. It seemed like the scheming was working well into the fourth quarter, or did it seem like the guys were getting tired because they were on the field a little bit longer than normal with the rotation, with the injuries and everything with the rotations? Did that kind of account for how Barkley started to get loose there toward the end of the game?
Well, I wouldn't attribute that to fatigue or anything like that. Certainly, once you get to the end of a tough physical ball game, I mean, the reps start to accumulate. That does at times affect quality of play. But primarily what happened was just, fit concerns, run fit concerns, tackling, gap control elements. Those were some of the things that put us on the wrong end of being able to contain an explosive guy like Barkley.
Yes, and you, on your linebacker crew, they seem to be. Dorian Williams is very quick, very quick. This guy can get to the play. He just looks like he just has to learn to wrap guys up and at that level. But those guys seem kind of. Are you concerned with the guys not being a little bit heavier or thick? Boy, those guys look really small out there all of a sudden.
No, we believe in the skill set and talent with the guys that we have, and our guys are physical, and our speed is one of our greatest assets. And Dorian, for as young as he is in his career, he's got a downhill mentality, and which is great for us because we are a single gap control defense, and so we really like what he's been doing, but obviously in a critical situation, we have to tackle. And stopping the run is an 11-man operation. It's not just on one level of the defense. And we all have to be in a position to contain, to shed blocks, to be violent with our hands, and to, especially with a back like Barkley, we got to gang tackle. We have to get as many hats to the ball as possible.
Absolutely. And thank you for your time, Coach. Have a great week and good luck this coming Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Eric. This is Jay with the Buffalo News. I also wanted to ask you about Dorian. You touched on his physical attributes there. I was more curious about the mental side of it. He had some issues against the Jaguars, and you guys made a change to Terrel. But then you go back to him. How did you like his mental approach during the week to get ready for yesterday?
I thought it was hard. It would be hard to describe him as a first-year player when you watched him go through the week of preparation. I'm talking about from Wednesday all the way through the Saturday walkthrough. He was locked in, focused. He understood the game plan. He understood what we had to do against their offensive schemes, in particular with all of the moving parts that we saw coming down to the last second with who was going to be available and who wasn't. I thought Dorian's he slid into that role. Was it perfect? No, but was it impactful? Was it physical? It absolutely was. And I think the arrow is really pointing up for him. I'm not seeing a player come in at the way that he did as a rookie and be as downhill, single-minded, physical as he was. And obviously there's some things we have to continue to grow from, but very pleased with his approach as he went through the week and will continue to grow from his experiences on Sunday.
I think 5 or 6 of his tackles were made within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage or at or behind the line of scrimmage. Is that what you're referring to there in terms of the downhill and impactful tackles?
Not only that, but there's a key recognition element involved. I mean, when you're responsible, especially when there's play action involved, you have to be very precise with what you're seeing and what that translates to in terms of you addressing the run or being a little bit slower and then getting into your pass, your coverage responsibility. And so Dorian did just a really good job of diagnosing his keys and getting him downhill immediately to his run fit and getting there and then with a mindset to be physical.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Coach Mookie Hawkins, Workload Sports Tonight. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Care to talk about Poona Ford and his first action, your assessment on Puna's performance yesterday, Coach?
Did a really good job. Penetrated, came off the ball, did a nice job using his hands to create separation between himself and the person assigned to him, either in protection or with the blocking scheme that they presented to us. He was on the field for the second sack of the game on third down with A.J. Epinesa came off the edge and did a great job. So really pleased with Puna, and I anticipate that his role will continue to amplify.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another guy, speaking of his presence, you didn't have him out there in London. Shaq Lawson, his presence. What do you think about, the spark that he gave on that big play?
Well, the only thing you need to look at is the fact that Shaq was on the field for us on the last play when we had to get a stop on the last play of the game, the untimed down. And it just reminds me of different situations that Shaq has been in throughout his career, since I've been here and even before that. He was on the field in that situation and had a role in disrupting the quarterback at that particular point. And so, Shaq has improved the ailment that he was dealing with, and he gave us solid, steady play. And I'm really happy to have him back out there.
Absolutely, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Eric, to continue to go along the line, I was curious, Ed played so many snaps yesterday. I was curious just how you thought he handled that amount of playing time, and if that's something you feel like he can do, without Daquan for a while, if that's something he can do over a long stretch of games.
Well, a defense with Ed Oliver on the field is better with him as opposed to him standing on the sideline. And so you want Ed out there. And I also want to make sure I utilize the rotation to keep him fresh, to keep him explosive. Such a game yesterday, I think Ed can handle anything. I don't think Ed will ask to come out of the game. I have to do a great job of just managing that and utilizing the guys that we have. But Ed fought all the way until the end of the ball game. And that's just who he is. That's his character.
Did you think thought, he played well with that number of snaps? Like, it was watching the tape back, like he was effective when he was out there throughout the game?
He absolutely was effective. As I mentioned, previously, the sack on third down, AJ's sack on third down, it provided really, really good pocket collapse presence from the inside, which prevented the quarterback from stepping up and forced him to stay on his spot. And AJ did a great job of coming off the ball and finishing the quarterback from that position. So, Ed was out there. He doesn't necessarily get the recognition for that play, but he was a definite factor in why it occurred and why we were able to be successful in that situation. And he had other situations like that throughout the ball game. And there are a couple of instances where, and Ed will tell you that we need to be a little bit better here, a little bit better there. But overall, I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah.
Handling the increased work.
Yeah, that's what I was curious, because, he's the most he's done in his career. So just curious how you thought he did throughout the game. And then with Vaughn, I was also curious, like, obviously playing more snaps this game than last. Like, when you're figuring out when he should be out there and stuff, what's that like do you talk about in advance, like which downs he's going to prioritize, or what's that like kind of managing him right now?
Well, it's like what we've been establishing, from the very beginning. And, Vaughn is continuing to improve. He's continuing, and I saw things from Vaughn yesterday that I didn't see when we were in London in terms of the quality one-on-one wins that I'm used to seeing from him. And unfortunately, the quarterback got rid of the ball a lot of those times in a hurry. But Vaughn was in position. And when he's in position, that's the only thing you can ask as a pass rusher, is to be in position and be in a position to follow through if he does hold the football. So we'll continue to work him toward what we're used to seeing, but he took a big step in my mind yesterday.
How important are those? It's like coming back from such a major injury, having him like take these steps that's not going to be right away, like talking to Vaughn and working with Vaughn, like how important are these steps that he's going to take each week, each day, each game in getting back to what he was?
Was very important because he's such an explosive player. He's the type of player that can alter the course of a game, or that can make an impact play for not only our defense but our team at any point. And he'll get back to that, and it's happening rapidly. The conditioning is happening, the feel, the speed of the game, all these things, the coordination with his rush hands, and with some of the things that he needs to do to defeat the person assigned to him in protection. You can see those things starting to really happen and starting to come back. I mean, we're talking week 2 of live football action. And really, this really shows you how unusual Von is, you know, as an athlete, that you could miss as much time as he has and look the way he's looked in a live NFL game without the benefit of training camp and off season and all those types of things. So it's happening, and every week's going to get better. Every day is going to get better.
I'm just curious, like, after you saying that, is there anything about like how he's been able to get back at the rate he has that's kind of surprised you? Like, is there anything that's like, oh, that's not normal, that's like a Von thing, or anything that stood out to you?
Well, when Von first started working out in practice, and you have the equipment on, and a lot of times there's an adjustment period, even with guys who have been in this business for a long time. And you didn't feel that as it wasn't as pronounced with Von, which is a testament to the type of athlete that he is and the types of things that he did while he was away to be prepared to get back into live action even during practice. And so I can't say that I'm surprised at that. I've been watching him for the balance of his career even before I had a chance to work with him. And this, to me, is really consistent with who he is and the type of athlete that he is.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach Washington, the defense didn't allow a touchdown yesterday, and they've only allowed 4 passing touchdowns so far this season, which is the least in the NFL. What do you think has allowed the group to be able to do that so far?
Well, I think that our rushing coverage are when those things are working well together, I just think we're tough to score on. And I also think that the takeaways that we've been able to get, the disruption that we've been able to get against the quarterback, and obviously Sean has done a nice job of mixing the defensive concepts and keeping offenses off balance a little bit. So when we're at our best, when we're executing, and when our rush is disruptive, and we're able to disrupt the timing of routes, we're just going to be tough to beat when we're executing at a high level.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hey, Eric, AJ Feldman here in Rochester. You gave a lot of praise to Dorian Williams. How did you kind of think he and Terrel worked together in tandem last night?
I think they did a nice job, and especially you have a first-year player and a second-year player, and you know, for those 2 guys to not have the level of experience that Matt Milano would have, and to go out and all of a sudden now they have to not only communicate but support each other and work off of each other, and then communicate to our defense. I thought it was way above the curve, which is, you know, positive sign for our defense.
When you have Von coming back from his injury, you're trying to get him, you know, more reps, more playing time, and you have AJ Epinesa, Leonard Floyd, Greg Rousseau all playing really well to start the season. How do you kind of balance, you know, this group of pass rushers you have and try and use them most effectively now?
It's a great problem to have, if you will. But it's you won't hear me complaining about having that many guys that can go out in the football game and impact it the way that they've shown that they can. And what I want to do is make sure that, you know, once someone gets an opportunity to rotate in the game, you want to keep all of them going. You don't want anybody to get cold or stale on the sideline, but you want to make sure that you get guys into the football game, you get these men in the football game, and so they can develop a rhythm, a flow, and really expend all of their energy with the snaps that they're given, knowing that we're going to utilize the rotation as much as we possibly can. And just also put combinations out there that we feel really, really will work well together based on a certain situation.
All right. Thanks for your time.
You bet.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.